Me and Elon Musk are the only guys I know that own one of these.
Okay.
But Thomas Jefferson's copy is missing. No one knows where it's at, so it might be out there somewhere.
Is
That
that
would be
possible
cool.
for a sheet like that to be missing and still be around?
No one knows where it's at.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Mantle Quality Stories. We've got Rick Harrison here, and we're going to be going back and forth, showing off 5 cool items from our collection, and then why we're sharing them. So, Rick, do you want to show off your first item here?
Okay, first item. Let me see. I got a few things here. Oh, this. It's a 1,200-year-old Viking bracelet.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, this was from a stash found in northern England. It's all the X-ray analysis on it. It's identical to 8th century English coins because the Vikings didn't have coins at the time because they just, basically they went and pillaged everywhere and they just melted down all the gold coins in the jewelry because they didn't have money because they didn't need money because they took everything.
They took whatever they wanted.
Yeah. It's like one of the coolest things I own. It's a 1,200-year-old bracelet and I actually wear it around.
That's cool.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
that
Now,
that is cooler than any hip hop artist chain,
yeah,
anything like that.
1,200-year-old Viking bracelet. Okay. So then, I'm kind of lucky because I'm in this business, so I get all sorts of weird stuff. Now we go to the category like me and Elon Musk are the only guys I know that own one of these.
Okay,
A rocket engine.
that's cool.
This is an actual NASA rocket engine piloted by Neil Armstrong.
Really?
Yeah, so it's off the lunar landing training module. See, it's still
Okay.
got the NASA. I don't know if you can see it there. Still got the NASA tags on it. Uh, so when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, okay, he had to practice on something, right? Yeah,
You
he
would
did
hope
like
so.
here's the spaceship land on the moon. So there was the lunar lander training module. Okay, it had 16 of those rockets on it, and he flew it around, and that's how he practiced landing on the moon. So Neil Armstrong actually piloted that rocket engine.
Wow. Now, how does an item like that end up in private hands? How does it go from NASA to you?
Uh, well, it's the inefficiencies of government. There was
Gotcha.
a guy literally shows up at a pawn shop. He's got the receipt and everything. He was at an auction at a Air Force base in Southern California. He walks along and looks at that on a table and he goes, I just didn't know exactly what it was, but it had a NASA tag on it. So he won the auction for $300. And then I think I gave him 14,000 for it because I had some guys check it out. They said, yeah, this is a rocket engine off the lunar lander training module. There was two training vehicles. One of them blew up, and so those rocket engines are gone. But you have one of the rocket engines that Neil Armstrong drove.
Wow, that's cool. I don't know the path that it took to get to me, but when George Washington was 23 or so years old, he was in debt from buying too much land. So he sold bonds to cover those debts. This is a bond receipt. Uh,
That's cool.
I don't know
Yeah,
how that the lineage of that either. And then here's another item, Willie Mays, the catch. One of the greatest moments in baseball history. I had to have that ticket. All right,
yeah.
continue.
Well, the whole thing with George Washington, when he passed away, he was the richest man in the United States. Okay.
Really? I didn't
Richest
know
man
that.
ever, yeah. And that's because he was really good at land speculating. You know how when he was young, he was a surveyor. He
Yeah.
figured out how to buy land, divide it up, sell it. But the richest man in the United States when he passed away, all because of land. Okay, my main thing I collect is books. I have tons and tons of books. But I brought in this one. It's 1473. Yeah, this is called an Incon Book, which means from the cradle. Any book printed before 1500, because it was 1452 when they invented the printing press. So this was only 20 years after the printing press.
Wow. The colors on it are still so great.
And then you see the little holes on it for bookworms.
Yep. Literal bookworms.
Well, they used to think they were bookworms because I couldn't see it, but they were little teeny little mites that would eat, that would get into the books and make the holes. And the holes would appear and they didn't know what they were because they couldn't see them, so they thought they were little worms.
And then the phrase came about. I don't know when the phrase came about, but a
All
couple
right,
years
so I'm gonna
later,
have to turn the
probably.
computer around to see the next one. This has been sitting in my office for over 10 years. Can you see it? Or do we,
Ooh, okay. What is this bad boy?
that is a 1969 Triumph Trophy California Special. Let's see if we can get on the screen there. See the
Wow.
odometer?
Yep.
See how many miles are on it?
I can't read the number.
39.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like
So
a,
yeah,
it's
that
like
was
a,
no,
it's
I've always been a big British bike guy, and I bought this years ago. I bought it off a guy, 39 miles on it. It's factory brand new. Um, and it's a California special, so they only sold them in California and Arizona. They only made 1,200 of them. It was like Triumph's first real dirt bike, so every one of them were destroyed basically. And this thing is just pristine.
it's like the motorcycle equivalent of an unopened box of cards.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's literally a brand spanking new Triumph Trophy 500 California Special.
That is incredible. Okay,
Okay.
here's two more pieces real quick. This is the pair of the Mona Lisa note and the Da Vinci note. One of them makes no sense. I don't, maybe you know this story, I don't, of why Mona Lisa was put on a Costa Rican bill in 1934, other than to try to have some culture imported. But Italy then eventually did put Da Vinci, but no one else put Mona Lisa on a note. Nobody else.
Um, well, why not? I mean, it's like literally one of the greatest painting you ever seen. You ever been seen the Mona Lisa live in person?
It's smaller than I thought, but it's just as incredible, even
Yeah,
cooler.
yeah. Well, Michelangelo and Da Vinci sort of hated each other. So literally, when Michelangelo saw the Mona Lisa, he goes like, "I felt nothing." And then Da Vinci turned around and said, "The statue of David, you should just put a sheet over it." Yeah, that's how much they talk. Talking trash has been around forever.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's not
and
going anywhere.
so like 12 or 13 years ago, I'm in San Diego, and I walk into this little gallery, and I start looking at this guy's paintings on the wall, and I'm like, this is what Vermeer and uh, Dutch masters, little things in the paintings that like
Mhm.
like like Rembrandt would do. It would just like was like, "F you, can you do this?" Just the
Yeah.
little things. I mean, you really got to be in the art to know what they all are. But this was in all of his paintings. I mean, this guy was incredible. Okay, so I ended up spending like 50 grand in his gallery, and then a couple months later, one of the guys from Imagine Dragons walked in and said, like, this your stuff's incredible. You do an album cover for us. And then Imagine Dragons liked it so much, they said, well, can you do a painting for every song we play and put it? And this is back in the day when Imagine Dragons were just astronomical. And we'll put it up on the screen behind the stage, for every song of the concert. And then it was like, hey, dude, you want to go on tour with us around the world and like display all your art? And which basically made it's just astronomical price. The prices have gone astronomical of his art. So this is like one of his masterpieces.
Wow.
Can you see it?
Yep.
I don't know if we're getting bad glare or not.
I can see enough of it. That's very cool. Wow. It's so rare that you hear a story of uh, that some unrelated thing to the artist making the artist's work something even more special than it already was. So that's so cool.
Yeah, no, I mean it was just like I literally walked in. It was just unbelievable. I mean, I deal in art. I don't buy anything at an art gallery. I mean, I have millions of dollars worth of art for sale already. But I saw this guy's work, and I was just blown away. And then, fortunately, I was one of the early guys who saw his work because a lot of other people saw his work now, and now it's he gets some of his stuff he gets seven figures for. So
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I did real. I mean, if I ever do sell it, I think I'll do all right.
I think you'll do all right too. All right, here's another fun one. Photo of the Titanic during construction, type one. I just love all Titanic stuff, and just anything of the Titanic that I haven't seen before was interesting enough for me to
I have
watch.
a really cool watch made out of part of where the bezel of the watch is made out of the hull of the Titanic.
That's cool.
Yeah. I like I said, I got a lot of weird stuff. A
What
lot.
what is let me ask you this. You bought so much weird stuff. You found so much weird stuff. What is what do you consider your greatest buy of all time? It doesn't have to be in terms of value, but in terms of something that you
I
look
don't know if
back
there
on and
is
you're
one. I mean, I got so much cool stuff. I mean, like, like I said, my big thing is collecting books. I mean, I have a first edition John Locke, which is, um, you know, a, the only person quoted in the Declaration of Independence. Like, he's the one who quoted that. He's the one who said that in 1698, and they had to put it in the Declaration of Independence. I have a first edition book of that. I have. Let me see. I got my old concert posters. I have like, I mean, in my house, I have a window from the 12th century. I have, um, you know, old B movie posters from like, the sci-fi movies from the 50s, which are so incredibly cheesy. They're cool. I got, it just goes on and on and on with the weird stuff I got.
is there anything that you've wished would walk through the front door that never has?
I think I've gotten everything. I mean, but there's always stuff that walks in and I never knew I wanted it. I
Yeah,
never
makes
needed it.
sense.
Like when
I've
someone,
seen that
when
too.
when someone walked in with the, the 1200-year-old Viking bracelet, I'm going like, that is the coolest thing ever. Okay. And literally people ask me, what's the coolest thing I have? This is the coolest thing I have. I mean, as far as go, you know, women are like, guys are like, really, dude.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, obviously, it's in the rotunda, but if the Declaration of Independence walked through the front door, what would that conversation look like?
I bought one.
No, but you know which one I'm talking about.
Well, no, the real one. No, I'd immediately call up the FBI if the real one walked in. But after the Declaration of Independence was signed and everything, a few weeks later, some printers printed up copies of them. They put them. They were just broadsides. They weren't meant to be saved or anything. They were taping them to walls. They were pinning them on a billboard at the city hall or stuff like that. A few of those still exist, and I paid, I think, 1.6 million, something like that, for one a couple years ago.
Those, and that turned out to be a great buy because a couple have
Yeah.
sold for a lot more than that.
But Thomas Jefferson's copy is missing. No one knows where it's at, so it might be out there somewhere.
Is
That
that
would be
possible
cool.
for a sheet like that to be missing and still be around?
No one knows where it's at.
Wow. What do you think that would go for in a public auction?
Well, $50 million, something like that. The sky's the limit. Who knows? But I'd say 40, 50 million bucks probably.
Now, out of all the great documents that are out there in the world, what would you put as number one greatest document? The original, the real deal.
I mean, the greatest one would be the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's the first document that says like, because remember, this is back in the 1700s where like everyone says like, no, we got to have kings. We got to go like, you know, you know, God gave the kings the right to treat us like crap. I mean, and it's the first document that basically says, everybody has rights. Okay. And they're entitled to those rights. Okay. And like, and even in the Constitution, they said like, we want to form a more perfect union. So we're always improving it. And I've been everywhere in the world, and there's a reason why everyone wants to come here.
Incredibly, it's held up. Both the Declaration of Independence and the physical document somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I think the Declaration of Independence is the most important document the world has ever seen. So, but yeah, just I'm a super, super nerd. You know what I mean? So I love everything like that. That's all I do is read.
Is there an equivalent of the missing Jefferson Declaration of Independence for books? Is there a book out there that people are just rumoring about that might exist?
Well, there's the possibility of a Gutenberg Bible out there. Um, I've had the page of a Gutenberg Bible before, and I got, I think, close to $70,000 for a page.
Wow.
As far as the books go, I mean, that's the holy grail, is to find um, a real. I mean, and there probably is some out there that people just don't know where they're at, but they're out there probably. That's the holy grail, Gutenberg Bible, because no one knows how many he printed. And there's probably some sitting out there in some old farmhouse in Europe, and up in the attic. They just got one sitting there.
Yeah, that's one of the things that blows me away about the art market too, that there's so many great works that are just in the middle of someone's living room and they have no idea.
Because there's artists like Marguerite, okay, which he's had paintings go for over $100 million. I mean, back in the day, he was selling them on the street corners for like just a couple francs in France and Belgium, and um, I'm sure people have one. They just have no idea because, great grandma bought it off this poor starving artist for like, the equivalent of $10, you know, and hung it in the bathroom.
Yeah, and then for generations it was the art in the bathroom, not this great work.
Yeah, yeah. And like everything, it says Marguerite in the corner. Yeah, it's a fake.
It's crazy to think about just the uh, tens and tens of billions of dollars of artifacts and memorabilia and artwork that are just sitting there and nobody knows.
Yeah, it just pops up everywhere. It's sitting in attics and basements and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I've had so many. I mean, this has happened so many times over the years. Like, I've had a person come in with an Olympic medal in a shoebox from the 1960s. Father passed away, found it in the garage, has no idea how his dad got it. He was never in the Olympics, but Olympic medal. I had a lady come in once and had a bunch of some Fabergé brooches uh, that were in her grandmother's underwear drawer that she never knew about or anything else like that. She didn't even know they were Fabergé when she brought them in. I mean, I had to explain like that. It's this whole, don't want to go to hell thing. I'm going like, no, it's worth a lot more than you want. And but like two Fabergé brooches. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, and I mean, at least with those examples, they know enough to bring it in.
Yeah.
There are the other people that would throw it away before they would bring it in.
Um, yeah, there's because they just look like really gaudy jewelry, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I mean a big giant scorpion brooch, like you're like, ew, what's yeah, but they had the foresight to bring it in.
There's a TV show from a long time ago called Last Man on Earth. And in the beginning of the show, he goes, because he's the last man on Earth, he goes around to every museum and he takes the things he wants. He goes and he takes it, he puts Babe Ruth's bat in his truck, he goes and takes the Mona Lisa and puts in his truck. If you were the last man on Earth, where would you go and what would you take?
I'd probably go to a hardware store because I'm going to need that stuff.
That's a good point.
Let me see. I would love like some original letters from like Tesla and Einstein. I think that would be really, really cool.
Where would you
Uh,
go to get them?
um, there's museums that have them. I mean, I did have actually a really cool letter from Einstein arguing with another professor that that chaos theory was BS.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't agree. This was early on when he thought quantum mechanics was stupid. That was kind of cool, but someone offered me a lot of money for it. So
So it's theirs now.
this there is now, yeah. But no, the Smithsonian's got such amazing stuff. Okay, and believe it or not, here's where some crazy. The Smithsonian has warehouses full of donations they haven't gone through. It's literally like they have warehouses like, at the very end, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay.
It's my
They
favorite
have,
shot in movie history.
yeah, but they still have boxes full of stuff like that. And this was just a couple years ago. I was with some of the people in the coin department there. Okay, but like literally, they have warehouses full of donations. They were they're going through boxes from the 1970s, and they open up this box with like $1 million worth of coin that's been sitting there for $50 million worth of coins has been sitting there for 50 years.
Wow.
And no one knew about it because like they don't have enough people to go through all the boxes. That's where I'd love to go.
There's I heard some statistic about like the percentage of stuff that's on display versus the percentage that isn't. It's crazy. But even some of the stuff on display isn't labeled properly. I was in one of the museums. I think it was uh, African American history, and they had a Michael Jordan jersey in there that Michael had donated. And it said on the display, worn in 1997 or 1996. And I sent it to my friend who buys game worn Jordan and Kobe jerseys. And he said, yeah, that's probably the biggest jersey in the world that isn't his last shot. He wore that every single game, the entire playoffs, the entire NBA finals. Jordan donated 5 million at the time, but that jersey's worth tens of millions.
Yeah.
And they
Well, no,
didn't say.
it's the nerd in me that sees this stuff all the time. Like I was in, I won't say the exact museum, but it's a Revolutionary War museum, and I was walking around and pointing out, like, well, that Revolutionary War soldier is carrying an 1830 rifle and things like that all the time. I can't help myself. I'm a nerd.
Did you call someone over?
Yeah, I actually told the curator about it. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, as seen. You make a good point about the hardware store, though. I think even if I was the last man in the world, I wouldn't be able to access the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's just like, I'm going to need a lot of food. I'm going to need some like supplies.
That's probably a better place to start than a piece
Yeah.
of 300-year-old paper.
Yeah. But like let's just hope that I'm hoping that scenario never plays out.
No, they'll just the
Yeah.
Smithsonian will bring it through your store. That's what'll happen.
I mean, like I just geek out museums all the time. I'm going to like France here like next month. I'm just gonna, literally I'm gonna spend I blocked off 2 days just for walking around the Louvre.
What do you think is the most underrated museum in the world?
Toronto. Have you ever been to the shoe museum in Toronto?
No, I haven't.
There's an amazing shoe museum in Toronto. It's been there for years and years. And you know, I'm talking like 10, 11, 12 years ago. I mean, they had a few Nikes in there, but like like they have like shoes that going back a couple thousand years. It
Wow,
was pretty cool. I mean, I was in there for an hour and a half.
that's cool. That's really cool.
But in Toronto, there was a shoe museum with shoe. I mean, they have like 2,000-year-old shoes in it. It's really cool. Okay, and I imagine they have a lot more like cool sneakers now. They were just beginning to get the sneakers like 12 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. But really underrated. I think anyone in the shoe game would love it.
Well, that's very cool. When you were first starting the show, uh, at what point did you know that it was going to click? Was there a certain episode or a certain item that was on an episode where you were like, "Wow, we've got something special here. We're gonna change the game of collecting."
Um, no, I mean, it's like we started in July of '09, and like we were slowly getting more and more people in. And I took off like 2 weeks during Christmas, and I came back like 2 days after Christmas, and I showed up, and the fire department was here saying you can't have this many people in the store. I mean, we like suddenly there's 200 people in line to get in the store. And from that point forward, it's been insanity ever since. So we're filming, I guess technically season 19 now, but yeah. But I also did the 2 seasons of Pawn Stars to America, and then I did my um, yeah.
Wow.
It's just over 700 episodes.
What was the origin of why you wanted to start it in the first place?
Okay, for lack of a better term, I was always a media whore. Um, okay, so like right before the Super Bowl, I put my Super Bowl rings on eBay, really high reserve because I'm not going to sell them. Okay, but guaranteed. Okay, I'd have some newspapers calling me. I'd have like I mean, like an LA new TV station or something would want to come up and do an interview with me about it, stuff like that. And that was always good for business every time. So I got PBS to do part of a small documentary on me so like 20 years ago, I'm thinking like, all right, if I get one of these newfangled reality shows and I get a season or two, it'll be great for business. So it took me over 4 years to navigate the whole TV industry, but I finally figured it out.
That is awesome. I wouldn't call that being a media whore. I would just say you're a marketing executive in another life.
Yeah, no, whenever I could get free press, it was always good for business. So I just figured the TV show would be great for business.
Love it. Well, you're the best. This has been so much fun. Thank you for showing your items. Glad we got to jam through it all.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me, man.